July 6th, 1941. 2 weeks ago, the Luftwaffe scored an impressive victory by destroying over 4,000 Soviet planes on the ground. And so 2 weeks later, after having partially recovered from these horrendous losses, the Soviet Air Force strikes back and sends a clear message to the Axis High Command. Welcome to the plane grinder. Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new weekly episode of this PBEM War in the East 2 against my opponent King KINGD. Yes, so I said in the introduction, welcome to the plane grinder, because of one simple reason. And before going into it, let's quickly have a look at the turn summary. I got quite some, almost 500,000 men as replacements, as well as 105,000 clean tons of equipment. Equipment means guns, AFVs, and even planes. And overall on the map I got 333,000 men, compared to the losses of 306,000 men. And besides that, the Axis. Interestingly, the Axis lost 154 AFVs in total. That was unexpected. But still, let's have a look at the events. We have the forced reorganization. Yes, okay. About the loss of the HQ. Core HQs, we have these sort of evacuations, the fall of Peskov, the Red God of War, so I will gain some interesting artillery units, which are empty shells, so I will have to fill them up with whatever I produce and whatever does not go into the divisions. And then the men with the small mustaches, now orders to capture Kiev, which I think, as I said in the last episode, it will happen sooner than later. The aspect that I wanted to show you guys deals with the losses, because if I have a look at the ground losses, the Axis lost last week almost 15,000 men, 134 AFVs, and inflicted, understandably, 306,000 losses on the Red Army. And if I have a look now at the manpower losses, they were almost like the losses of last week, interestingly, and I think coincidentally. But the big losses, the most interesting aspect of the losses deals with the air losses, because if I look at the losses suffered from both by both air forces during the end of the Soviet air phase, well, as you can see, the Axis lost 200 planes, mostly fighter bombers and one fighter, versus 324 Soviet losses. Now the ratio is 1.62 in favor of the Axis in terms of losses, because I lost 1.62 more planes compared to the Axis. But if we have a look at the more detailed losses, well, this number really should catch your eyes, because 124 Bf-109 F2s were lost in just 1 week. Now, if I remember correctly, the Axis produces 42 Bf-109 F2 every week. And because 42 times 3 is 126, it means that in 1 week, the Luftwaffe lost almost 3 weeks worth of production of Bf-109 F2. Now, this for me is an outstanding, magnificent news, because it encourages me to do the same thing that I did, let's say, this week during the air phase. And the type of missions that I've set over the Axis-occupied hexes were simply air superiority missions. And apparently they are so successful. They were incredibly successful to the point that they inflicted a say a 1.62 losses ratio in favor of the Axis. That is amazing. And you know what? I'm gonna do it again, hopefully next week. Let's see. And also, I'm very curious to see how will my opponent react to this, because I don't think he will always have to accept this fighting, because if the trend continues, well, I'm optimistically I might gain air superiority over the Eastern Front, maybe by Christmas already, maybe by January 1942. And this means, this means that my IL-2 Sturmovix will fly totally unopposed this winter. But anyway, enough rambling, enough talking, enough foreseeing. The situation on the ground is not so promising and optimistic, to be honest, because yes, I got pushed away from the Kasplia River, but also in terms of the ground battles, I have to mention the heroic defense of the this one here, of the 248th Rifle Division, which however did not count because it was just scouted. And of course what did count was the defense of the 1st Mechanized Division, which stood its ground against this regiment of the 18th Motorized Infantry Division. Now, interestingly, what I have to praise my opponent on is his skillful use of the reserve function, because you see this one here, the 19th Panzer Division, which has no CPP left. Well, that's because the 19th Panzer Division took part in many, I think 3 battles, like this one here, as reserve. This one, no. Wait, I think it's this one, not. This one, not. This one. Only one? I thought it was more. Ah, yes, maybe. Yeah, this one here as well. This one here as well, so 2. Okay, yes, I think only 3 battles. Yes, in 3 battles. And in 3 battles it lost its offensive potential. I mean, I have to be honest, I nearly completely forgot about the use of the reserves, and thank you. I really want to thank you for reminding me that, because from now on I think I will do it more often. I will pull back from the front line my armor divisions and I will use them as reserves. Maybe not this week, but in the upcoming weeks for sure. And yeah, the reason why I cannot do this week is because, yeah, you see here I still have this gigantic gap that I absolutely have to fill this week. And yeah, basically this week what I will try to do north of the Pripyat marshes is to maybe pull back from here. I don't know if I will pull back from Smolensk because I want to straighten my lines. But anyway, I will see. Also, I don't like his penetration over here towards Gomel from both sides. So either he ran out of units or he ran out of movement points. But still, also seeing that he is now regimenting the 18th and the 17th Panzer Division as well as the 29th motorized infantry division, and keeping only the 10th motorized and the 3rd and 4th Panzer divisions here, obviously without any CPP, because I think the 3rd and 4th, yeah, the 3rd and 4th were engaged into battle. Yes, they were heavily engaged into battle. Exactly, also the 10th motorized infantry division. It's a symptom that he's willing to push very hard, very deep, but he doesn't have the infantry to screen the longer and longer flanks of the 2nd Panzer Group. So definitely I will pull back behind the Dnieper River this week, and well, let's see. We'll see what happens next week. Yeah. Anyway, enough talking, folks. Let's jump straight into the episode. Alright folks, so for this episode I'm trying a new format just to experiment a little bit, and I am fast forwarding the video, the rest of the video by 3 times instead of the canonical 2. because the video was already like 44 minutes long, and honestly I didn't want to keep it too long in just watching me moving units around on the map and reshuffling them here and there and reassigning them here and there to various HQs. But as I said in the brief introduction, the goal was to try to establish a rock solid defensive line. First of all, I reassigned all of the units that were standing next to Tallinn to the fort in Tallinn, which I created on the very same turn, because luckily on the third turn I could finally gain a decent amount of APs, and I've sent into the Tallinn fortress the 2 rifle divisions standing next to Tallinn, because yeah, I want to hold Tallinn for as long as possible. And for the rest, it was just pulling back all of the routed and unready units, ideally close to or directly on top of level priority 3 or priority 4 depots, to make sure that on the next logistics phase they would receive as much freight as replacement as possible, and of course also on refit mode. And the rest is basically like, I would say, history. In the opening turns of the Soviet Union, I guess it is normal, especially when playing against a human opponent, to prioritize specific regions of the front. Ideally, the regions of the front that should constitute the primary objective for the Axis player. That in the case of the Leningrad area, of the Pskov area, and of the Western Front are what I thought were the Shimsk, Rayliard, and Novgorod, because I think in Shimsk there is a level 2 Rayliard, and it is very convenient for the Axis player to take control of this Rayliard. And of course it is convenient for me to keep control of it, because it allows me to unload troops with relative ease. And here I was just, instead of using the railways, I wanted to move the Moscow militia divisions by foot, and the idea was and is, small spoiler, is to use the Moscow militia divisions to establish a second defensive line behind the area of Smolensk, to, just to slow down the blitzkrieg a little bit, or the tiny bit that I need to reorganize my Red Army and consolidate the my ground. And besides that, folks, I would say there is nothing else, nothing more that I can say. And so I wish you, again, as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish you all the best. And as always, stay tuned, because there is still one episode regarding this turn, in which, as always, we have a look at what happens in Ukraine.
За нашей спиною прославленный город, ему не пройти, не прорваться врагу. Клянемся живым, не отпустим фашиста, клянемся пудром, здесь работаем за нас. Стоять, как стояли 4 радиста, смертельной опасности, глядя в глаза. За нами город Ленина, за нами вся страна. Свою судьбу доверила, не вечные назад. Свою судьбу доверила, не вечные назад. Они издевают развалины, трубы и детские трупы, и дым городов. Им птичка бойцы лейтенанта Кострома. Любой из нас, братья, сегодня готов. Охотным врагом под кровавому свету мы грозно рванемся в решающий час. И кроме гранатой мы вырвем победу, лучистая бомбы сияет для нас. За нами город Ленина, за нами вся страна. Свою судьбу доверила тебе, тебе она. Свою судьбу доверила тебе, тебе она.
Остался дома с дымкою стебною, не скоро я к нему вернусь обратно. Ты только будь, пожалуйста, со мною, товарищ правда, товарищ правда. Ты только будь, пожалуйста, со мною, товарищ правда. Я все смогу, я клятвы не нарушу, своим дыханием землю обогрею. Ты только прикажи, и я не струшу, товарищ время, товарищ время. Ты только прикажи, и я не струшу, товарищ время. Я снова поднимаюсь по тревоге, и снова бой такой, что пулям тесно. Ты только не взорвись на полдороги, товарищ сердце, товарищ сердце. Ты только не взорвись на полдороги, товарищ сердце. В большом дыму и полночи, и полдни, а я хочу от дыма их избавить. Ты только все, пожалуйста,